Hello, hello, hello. What's up, everybody? Good evening. Happy Wednesday. Welcome to Blend with Kimberly and Friends. What an exciting show we have lined up for you tonight. I am so thankful that my dear friend John Murray is going to be joining us shortly. But before he comes up, I want to just give you just a little bit of news that we have here live from the studio. Want to just inform all of the makeup artists that are watching that you have to make sure that you sign up for this year's annual makeup show. That's right. The makeup show that normally happens in the month of May has now been moved to October. And it's going to also be another show in New York in August. So make sure you go to the makeup show and make sure you line up yourself, get yourself signed up for all the classes. It's going to be incredible. Also happening locally, we have some great news. Marrying Millions, our very own Rodney Foster, is going to be appearing tonight live on his show. I want you to make sure you have to log off of here, that you run on over to Lifetime at 10 o'clock. And our very own Rodney Foster is going to be doing his show tonight called Marrying Millions. I am excited to see this millionaire get married and talk about his journey on this reality TV show. It's going to be incredible. Now, we have our news out of the way. We have our very own John Murray, who is going to be coming up. But before he comes and listen, I really needed a teleprompter to read his incredible bio. He has done so many wonderful things. He is a TV commentator. He is a pop culture expert, a media personality, an influencer who the NAACP named as the 40 power players under 40. Come on now. And Ebony Magazine called him the 30 on the rise. Listen, he is the 12 most influential men, according to Don Julio Tequila's recognized accolades. Listen, he's done so many things. He's been on the Travel Network, Epics, the NFL Network. And guess what? I not only love his words, but Barbara Walters also says that she loves his words. You've seen him on CNN, HLN. You've seen him on E, TV1, MSNBC, BBC, and so many other stations. Wendy Williams, you've seen him on that show. But tonight he's live on my show, and I'm so happy to have him to come on. Welcome, John Murray.
What up, what up, what up?
Hello, my friend. How are you?
I'm on my regular, TV set, but if I'd have known we was doing Black and Sexy, I'd have went into my other room, the little photo joint I set up. We'd have had both black backdrops. We'd have been kind of matching in our backdrops.
I love it. I love it. Listen, but I do have my Africa pendant on, and I see that you have on your kente cloth, so we are right in one accord, okay? We are
absolutely
on the same page.
You look good, though, Kim.
Oh, well, thank you. Thank you so much, friend. Listen, normally, guys, John Murray and I, we've been friends for over 25 years. Normally, at least once a month, we try to get together, or at least I say once a quarter, because our schedules have gotten really busy. And normally we try to get together, have lunch, and chop it up, and just kind of catch up and just see how one another is doing. So I am so glad that we are able to let our friends just come in and kind of get a sneak peek of what we talk about privately.
Absolutely. And Kim, I'm looking into the monitor because I'm trying to check out my shape up. So
you trying to check out your shape up? I need to turn this volume up, John. I can't hear you good.
You can't hear me good. Volume. Let's see.
There we go.
I can hear you great.
Oh no, I didn't have my volume up high.
Oh, okay. So, yeah. So as you know, my mom is a cosmetology teacher, and so for the first time since maybe I was 13, 14, I let my mama cut my hair yesterday. Because, taking all these multivitamins and stuff to stay healthy in the pandemic, my hair was growing crazy. So my hair was about this short at the beginning of the pandemic, but it was about like this long. Like I had a full throwback. And
you didn't show that on social media?
Nah, I just let mama go ahead and come. Mom, meet me in the bathroom, and she got me trimmed down good. So
the most you were showing,
you did all right.
It was like your walks, like your 4-mile walks. And all the pretty flowers and all the scenery that we were being able to capture. But you did not capture that full J5 bush. I needed to see that curly J5.
Listen, I was having to put the sponge on it just so it was tameable when I was doing television.
I love it. So that's your beauty hack. So you learned how to maintain that long hair, huh?
Yeah, maintained it till it hit the flow.
Well, tell your mother she did a great job. Your hair looks fantastic. Looks
Thank
like you
you.
went straight to the barbershop.
Shout out to Marcus. I won't be seeing you till next year, but my mama gonna have to keep doing the job in the meantime.
So, John, have you been in the house the whole time of pandemic? Have you been anywhere? Because your schedule is very extensive.
Yeah, no. Let me see. My last trip was in March, sometime in mid-March. I forget the exact date now, but I hunkered down right after that, and I've been in the house ever since. My life exists of going to the grocery store, maybe going to Target, and the post office box. That's about all that I do, and that and my walks. But surprising to a lot of people, Kim, I'm really content with this being still and the quiet reset that's happening. I'm not one of these people like a lot of the people we see on social media that have to be out and about. I've been invited to a couple backyard gatherings and front porch gatherings and, a few other things. And I'm just not down with it. And so, I have a couple friends and things that are going to move forward with their weddings and stuff in the fall. And I'm excited for their love, but, I need to live. So I'm going to have to opt out. So, I'm sitting still. I'm laying low. And, I'm hiding from COVID and I'm hiding from cops. That's my life plan.
Listen, and I think that's probably the safest thing to do right now. Is so much happening, John. I mean, the climate of our country has really just kind of shifted. I really appreciate you, and what I miss about seeing you on TV as much are all of your really strong your strong points about what you think and feel about our community as a whole, not just the entertainment community, but us as a people. I just love all of your commentary. I know Barbara Walters said it. I said it too. And for those that don't know, one of my mantra, my business mantra is creating a fast face with a Hollywood finish, which is what you came up with. And I still use that mantra for my business. You have such a great way with words. You're so eloquent. And your thoughts are very concise, and they make sense. Like they're not opinionated. It's just facts. It's like, this is what it is, and, I appreciate that about you. But I know that, the Black Lives Matter movement has been in the forefront of our community, whether it be in entertainment, sports, everybody, has been affected by this. I mean, just seeing the repeated video footage of George Floyd being murdered by those police officers has really been something that we have had to deal with emotionally as a community, as a whole. What are your thoughts about what we've had to endure in the entertainment community, and how is it that we can actually keep this movement alive?
Well, I think as for us, Kim, as entertainment professionals, sometimes we're not always getting the same opportunities as our white counterparts do. We might have to go from project to project or hustle up opportunity after opportunity, where some of our white counterparts are getting, retainers and contracts and just a chance that we don't get. I talk a little bit now about, I had a deal at one of the major TV networks. And they were trying to figure out which one of their shows they wanted to place me on. And they all but promised me a gig on one of the talk shows that they had currently airing on their network. And so we did a series of tests with various other talent, which in Hollywood terms, they call it a chemistry test, which is what a lot of the good shows do, to just see how you work with the people that are already there. And at the 11th hour, somebody called in a favor, and they brought in someone who was like from a former music group, but had no really good hosting skills, and had them also do a round of tests with all the same women that I was testing with. And in the end, they offered that person the job. And so one of the ladies who was working on the show was really frustrated, because after the first week, when they relaunched the show, they came to the host that was there and they asked them, could they pull back some, because the guy that they actually hired was shy and that he was having a hard time and was getting lost. And the black girl said, listen, y'all could have hired John Murray, who was killing it every time he was here, but y'all went with this other guy because y'all thought he was bringing in a demographic or something. And now we got to dim our lights to let him shine. Nah, that don't work like that. And so those are the challenges that, that us in the entertainment industry, we don't get. I'm enjoying watching Hollywood have this moment of atonement, this moment of racial reckoning. And I appreciate them doing things like making donations to civil rights organizations and taking episodes of TV shows off their streaming platforms that may be offensive or racially insensitive. But they need to do more. They need to employ more people of color, more Black people. They need to give us the opportunities and the contracts and the visibility that our white counterparts are getting. And we're not looking for affirmative action hires. We're just looking for an equal opportunity to show this talent that has been ready. Because, see, we have to stay ready. It takes us so long to get the opportunity. We don't have any moments to slack. And so for us, Black Lives Matter for us means give us an equal chance at making our communities better by earning a respectable wage and getting the opportunities that our white counterparts get in this business.
I think that's an awesome answer. And to your point, there have been a lot of moments where I've seen celebrities gain employment based off of name recognition and not necessarily have the talent to be able to carry out the job that they have, that their management team has been able to land for them. And it's been very unfortunate, many opportunities from modeling to movie roles. The list is endless, even down to celebrities starting makeup lines and and things like that. And for the people like us who specialize in our particular gift and craft, it can be a bit frustrating. And so to your point, I do appreciate, like you said, this time of atonement, what it has done for me. I've been able to really just kind of dig deep introspectively and kind of see what I'm truly made of. And I realize that I am still full of substance. It's still, what I mean? Like, I'm still bubbling over with, with ideas and thoughts, and because we're creatives. And so, what do you think, where has this put our entertainment industry with artists sitting at home and not really being able to channel that true talent that they have?
Well, one of the things we've seen during this pandemic is Lottie Dottie and everybody has gone live. People got these virtual shows. They are ramping up their YouTube channels. They are finding the digital way to share their gift and their expertise, which I think is a brilliant thing to do, because the reality is that, Maxine Waters did an interview with somebody you and I love, White House reporter April Ryan, last week, and she said the pandemic is going to be a 2-year thing. Like, all the people who are disillusioned into believing that this thing is going to be over in September, October, November, no. There's not a vaccine, and then people aren't going to take the vaccine when it first comes out, because folks want to make sure that you're not going to grow extra noses and extra fingers and all types of other things as a result of taking the vaccine. And so we see that most award shows and a lot of the events in our industry, they're already pushing things back till April and May of next year. Most people I know that work on talk shows, they've been told that they won't have an audience at all for this upcoming season. Most of the shows will be virtual all next season. And so we're looking at summer 2021, fall 2021 before our new normal sets in. And so people have to find a way to survive. I also believe that while we are waiting for the opportunities to be able to showcase our creative gifts, this has also challenged a lot of people to be responsible in business. We've got to get our paperwork in order. We've got to make sure we've got our taxes filed and all the things that make you eligible for either PPP loans or eligible for unemployment. A lot of independent contractors, people who go from project to project, those folks like you and I know that file 1099s for their taxes. This is the first time in history that many of us have been able to get unemployment, and so my whole goal for this pandemic was to come out of this thing being a better human being. And, I'm not into the memes or all the social media messages where people are like, if you don't come out of this thing with a $2 million business, and if you're not a multi-million-dollar with a plan, that's foolishness. We are living through historic times. And for a lot of people, for your way of life, your way of income, and your connectivity to humanity being impacted the way that it has during this time, we are living through trauma. And whether you are outwardly expressing that or your body is just processing what they see going on, you've got to be present and just try to come out of this thing a better human, because at the end of the day, if COVID don't get you, stress and anxiety can.
Absolutely. And I think we've seen indication of that, not only with Tamar, but also with Kanye. I know that, reports say that it's assumed that he was systematic during his presidential rally just a few weeks ago. And I've also heard experts say that his bipolar episode was, due to the fact that he refused to receive help because he said that it stunted his growth or his creativity. And so, with that being said, with us just battling through, some of the mental the mental issues that people have, bipolar, depression, things like that, and then having to deal with the pressures of social media and people making you feel like you have to push, and go. It can be very traumatizing for a celebrity. What are your thoughts on celebrities who refuse to accept any kind of medical attention because it does stunt their growth or stunt their creativity?
Kim, I think we're in a place in time where we are probably more aware and more educated on mental health than we've ever been. I remember early on in my career, covering some of the antics that were going on with Britney Spears' mental health unraveling on Court TV. And, we took a very lighthearted approach then. Folks weren't as serious about it. Like, they acknowledged that it was mental illness, but I don't think people realized the severity of what was going on. By the time there was an actress named Amanda Bynes who maybe about 6-7 years ago went through a really traumatic mental health episode in public, and people then took a very different approach to her because the awareness of mental health was greater then. And so as it pertains to Kanye, I believe that there's medicine out here that people can take to get regulated. I know some really amazing people in this entertainment industry, and some just in real life, that are dealing with bipolar disorder and the various variations of it, and they're taking their meds and they're doing fine. And so the idea that this man is admitted that he's off his meds, because first he said that the meds made him gain weight, so he went and got liposuction, and then the other part of it, that the meds have made him uncomfortable. I think he's a danger to himself, a danger to his family, and a danger to society. And, I'm somebody who I've made a lot of jokes on television about the Kardashians because they're easy targets. They're a big family, big personalities, and, their road to success, it has had a questionable path. But the reality is that all jokes aside, if what we're seeing with Kanye in public makes us as uncomfortable as we are, imagine what it's like living with that. Imagine what it's like being in a house when he goes on one of those manic rants or has one of his episodes in front of the kids. And so I actually have a level of sympathy and empathy for Kim Kardashian and Kris and all of them just for dealing with this, because the truth of the matter is, if Kim wanted to make a decision that was best for business, she probably could have divorced him a long time ago. And the fact that she stayed on this journey with him and she is fighting hard to try to get him to a place of mental wellness, I think it's great. I think the other thing that's egregious, though, is you are dealing with severe bipolar disorder. You are off your meds. You are obviously going through a manic episode. And in that, you're being used by a political administration to run for president in an effort to dissuade the Black vote. And so at some point, you're not well, but we also have to talk about the fact that you've allowed yourself in sickness to be a pawn in politics that could have very dangerous ramifications. So I'm grateful that people like Dave Chappelle and Justin Bieber and all of them are going out there and flying out to Wyoming to check on him. But I hope they would check on him and encourage him to check into a facility that can help him get the severe mental health treatments that he seriously needs.
For you not to be a doctor, John, you have said that so eloquently and so true. I mean, there are different doses.
I'm not a doctor, Kim, but I just play one on the internet.
Listen. Listen, and you do it very well. And I do agree with you, John. I mean, there are definitely other options for him and for those who are suffering in silence or suffering loudly like he has been, because he is a public figure. And I think that it has just, impacted our community tremendously, because it just makes us look like, in the entertainment industry, because he is a voice in our industry. And it kind of makes us look like, we could be a bit I don't know, just a little haphazard with our actions, just kind of, doing things that are kind of go with the moment. And I don't want that to be the case, you know, where the society looks at entertainers and think that, you know, that they're all this way, you know, because we did have another public figure who is now our president, you know, and so
absolutely. And the other thing we need to be
just in pure entertainment, you know,
absolutely.
in a bad way.
And we need to be, and from a humanity standpoint, Kim, like when you look at people like Amy Winehouse, who was battling addiction, Whitney Houston, one of the last celebrities, you know, one of the last makeup artists, you know, to do her makeup before she passed, she was battling addiction. And there have been so many stories, from Phyllis Hyman to Donny Hathaway. I think they both were dealing with paranoid schizophrenia. Mm-hmm. And so, you know, those cases people didn't really understand because that was a long, long time ago. But the more modern cases, like people poked fun at Amy and Whitney, and they were more of a tabloid sensation than they were a concern for most people until they die. And so what I don't want to see is Kanye be in a situation where he ultimately does harm to himself or does harm to his family, and then everybody is talking about they shoulda, woulda, coulda. You know, I know it's challenging and I know it's tough to get somebody who is going through a manic state like him. You know, I have a friend that's an athlete that I was mentoring last fall, and me and all the people around him had a front row seat to seeing him go through a manic state like this. And it was probably one of the more stressful things that I had dealt with in the last 5 years as an adult, because you know, you talk to them, they're good, and then 2 hours later, they're on Twitter and they're going crazy, and there's nothing you can do about it. And so I know there's no rhyme or reason or recipe or pathway to getting somebody healthy in a situation like this, but I hope that some of the people around him that do have great influence on him don't just fly to Wyoming and check on him and make sure he's good. Fly to Wyoming and see if you can influence him to do his due diligence to get to a healthy place, because they say this medicine takes a couple of months to regulate your mind again, and in the state that he's in, he's a far away from regulation.
I totally agree. And you know, I know that you have a lot of close relationships with celebrities where you're in that intimate space with them and you are hearing their heartbeat and you are just watching them cry and watching them go through. I know you're very close with Sherri Shepherd, who has gone through a very public divorce that has been really ugly. How does that affect you? How do you separate business and your professional and your personal life with your celebrity friends? Like, how do you manage that, John? That has got to be tough. For you, because you report about, you know, celebrity news. I mean, and how do you do that?
Well, you know, Kim, it's actually kind of easy for me now because, you know, the beginning of my career, the first like 12, 13, 14 years, I started as an entertainment journalist. So I was both a writer and on the Tom Joyner Morning Show for a period of that time. And so during that time, I was always considered the celebrity friendly guy. When celebrities were in scandals or they were going through things or they knew stuff was coming out about them, they would call me and ask me for help. I was the fix it guy. And
I remember.
Yeah. And then, if there was an instance where one of my celebrity friends had stepped in it and, you know, they were in a bad situation, I would always reach out to them and say, hey, you know, we got to talk about you on the radio tomorrow. Sometimes I might give them a heads up as to what my perspective was going to be, but most of them respected me in the way that I did my job. So, I mean, throughout the course of my career, I've never lost any relationships based on that. But now I'm in a space where I've shifted. And so for like the last 5 years, primarily, I've been really focused on my hosting and commentary work. So while I do television and I offer perspective and opinion on some of the things that are going on in the world, and or if a celebrity's in the headline, you know, my approach now typically is either from an all-out informed place or from a comedic place. And so while I've poked fun at some of my friends who happen to be in the headlines, you know, most of them laugh at the things that I say and do. They don't, you know, find any offense in it. And, you know, I always had a rule, even when I was a journalist, working full time in that capacity, that I never did a story about anybody that I wouldn't want done about myself. See, I mean, I knew that I was working as a journalist and it was a wonderful backup plan for me. And it opened a lot of doors and created a lot of opportunities for the business. But I always knew that my greater goal was to work in television. And so I never wanted to do anything to me in act one of my career that in act two, if somebody did it to me, then I'd be uncomfortable with it. And so I feel really good having known that the majority of my career, both in phase one and where I am now, that I've been very respectful of people. I've been very fair. And while there have been some bumps in the road and there's some celebrities who I'm maybe not their favorite personality or their favorite former full-time journalist, A lot of them I didn't like either. So we equally know, you know.
I love it. I love it. And I love it how you've managed to stay safe. You are always very tactful and you always say things the right way to me. And I think I may be biased because you are my dear friend, but I always love
It's all right to be biased about me. It's all right.
I know. I mean, I just love the way you always you how could I say this? You make the worst sound good. It's like, okay, yeah, she did this, but you use always a medical term or some terms to make almost justify their foolishness. And so I love you for that, John. And I think that you have you walk on the line, but I think that it's a safe line that you walk on, and I think it's a smart line that you walk on, and I think it makes your commentary very interesting. What does the ideal show for you to host? What does that look like for you?
Listen, I just want a good job, and don't get me wrong, I have very intentional and particular visions of what I would like to do in TV, but like I had a great time working at the Travel Channel. Like they had me doing these.
I loved you on Travel. You know, I love that. That was
it was really, really great. And so I love the lifestyle space, but I love daytime talk. You know, I really wish one of the networks would do a unisex talk show. Mm-hmm. You know, they have all these shows where it's a whole lot of women sitting around talking, but the reality is that women want to hear a man's point of view too. So why don't we have more unisex dialogue on television? And I think I could give Andy Cohen a run for his money in the late night space. Like, you know, that show fits a very particular demographic. You know, he's intentionally messy and all that stuff. I would like to really create an alternative for a show like that. That's a safer place, a funner place, a more engaging place for people to come where, you know, in the words of Kathy Griffin, I don't read fake Twitter questions trying to have a gotcha moment in the middle of an interview. So, I mean, I would like to, you know, be able to do some things like that. But listen, I'm open. Like one of my favorite TV personalities recently passed, Regis Philbin. And I think he really just, you know, raise the bar on how to do TV effectively and how you can be your authentic self and through great conversation and great presence can be entertaining. And I also love a guy named Tom Bergeron, who is like this witty, engaging, evergreen host who can host everything from Good Morning America to Dancing with the Stars. And so, you know, I want the versatility that guys like like guys like them got to have in the business. And I just want an opportunity like my white counterparts.
Absolutely. And I think that you fit the bill. You know, I always tell you how great you look. You know, I'm always the first to text you after you're on CNN or MSNBC to say, John, you look so good. You did so good.
Thank you.
You just make good TV. You just make the camera loves you. And I'm excited to see what's going to happen. You know, I tag every single one of these networks on this particular live feed. So I'm hoping that we speak this into existence for you because you deserve it. I know that you have done a lot of writing. You had your A-list column. I know that you've done some things with Nissan as their brand ambassador, and you've spoken on their platforms. How do you transition? Like, how were you able to recreate yourself? Give those that are watching, because so many people are recreating themselves right now that are watching. They're creatives and they're trying to figure out what's next. Tell us your secret to recreation. Like, how do you know it's time? What did you do? Something like that.
For me, Kim, you know, first, like in all things you do, you have to set the foundation. So it's funny because I've met a lot of people when they were starting out as an entertainment writer or people who were particularly doing the blogging thing. And they always wanted to say, how can I get what you have? Or what can I, you know, how can I do what you do? And the reality is I used to tell them that, for me, it was always I was not empowered by the stories that I told. I was empowered by the secrets that I kept. So that was for me.
Say it again, John. Stop. Say it again.
I'm not empowered by the stories that I tell. I'm empowered by the secrets that I keep. So that develops a trust in this industry. It develops community. And so I would be in positions where, you know, I was around women in this business without their wigs on. You know, I've seen people do some things that would maybe get them in trouble, but I was a safe place. So that was the first part of it. The other piece of advice I would give them is that make yourself corporate friendly. Like for me, even when I was a writer, people don't realize this, but a lot of the award shows and the major events that I would attend, I wasn't going to that on my own dime. I've never paid to send myself to work because that's what it is, work. But a lot of times the corporate sponsors behind these events, these award shows, these festivals, these activities, they would bring me in and give me the experience of a lifetime so I could share that with the reading audience. When I got to radio, it was bringing me in so that I could share that with the Tom Joyner listening audience. So once I transitioned out of being a full-time writer, one, because the whole blog culture was really taking over, and I realized that, my audience is African-American. And there was this sad reality that I was noticing that Black people were reading less and less. They were looking at headlines, they were looking at Facebook captions, and if it wasn't in a photo or a meme or something like that, they just weren't reading. And so I had gotten to a point where I was tired of focusing so much time on my plan B, and I really wanted to put a plan into place for my plan A, which was television. Well, the relationships that I established while as a writer transitioned into my act two. And so while I was in between TV jobs and in between commentary gigs and the hosting of panels and moderating events and all that stuff that came as a result of that, a lot of these brands started engaging me differently because the birth of the influencer genre started, and where people got opportunities and paychecks and experiences just based off of engaging an audience through their social media platforms. And so that allowed me to be both a personality while also maintaining relationships with marketing and media companies and things like that. So I've been able to do things with companies like both Nissan and Ford and Mazda and Capital One Bank. And so listen, I'm open to any smart opportunity with any brand as long as it makes sense for me, because even in collecting a paycheck, I like everything that I do as far as engaging with my audience to be authentic to myself. And so that's how I was able to transition. I was looking for the long game. I knew where I wanted to go, and I knew that even in my act one, I had to make decisions and things that were going to make my transition a very fluid one. And that's the challenge most people make. They get into this business, they do impulsive things, they make bad choices, thinking that if I copy this person who's doing something to be a shock jock, or this person who's doing something to be inflammatory or to be provocative, then I can build an audience. But the reality is that the audience that you build there doesn't transition into the legitimacy that you like to have later. And I tell the people this all the time. Wendy Williams is an anomaly. Like, very few people have the controversial career that she had on radio and then transcend into mainstream entertainment in the way that she did. And, that's a show I've done, like 10 times. And she's very nice to me when I'm there. But, at her own admission, Wendy on radio was a lot different than Wendy.
Yes, she was.
In the talk show. And there's still certain celebrities and certain people who still won't come on her show based on things that she did then. So I like to just remind everybody, like, that's a rare instance what's happened with her, and she's been able to make the best out of her situation. Most people can't be as provocative if she was on radio and then translate into a family-friendly, mainstream, brand-friendly scenario the way that she has.
I love that. And so what I'm hearing from you is that, in your transition and you being fluid, that you need to build your relationships and follow trends. I mean, that's basically what it is. And I love that you have remained a trailblazer in that regard, and that you actually, before the trend, you set the trends. I mean, I don't know if you realize that you are truly a trailblazer in our community. I mean, there are not very many people who I can say I know that represent Nissan. I mean, a major multi-billion-dollar, corporation, if I even gave them enough credit. I mean,
and listen, and I love Nissan, but we don't have an exclusive arrangement, so I work with all automotive brands. So I've had a few automotive brands come to me, because I will say this: Nissan has been good to me, and I've been good to Nissan. And because there's been reciprocity in that relationship, people think I'm solely tied to them, and I'm not. So anybody else? Mercedes, General Motors.
I like you in Mercedes. I like you in Bugatti. I like you in Volvo. I like you
Genesis.
I like you.
I love a Genesis.
Hello. I like you in
Listen, you can call if Dodge Neon got the right program and the right price, we could talk about that too.
Absolutely. But I just love that. I love the fact that you're so versatile, and that you recognize that your talent is beyond the pen and far away from the computer, but that you can come away from that and around that and stand in front of the camera and commentate and really represent well. I think that speaks volumes to me. What is actually next? Well, let me stop, because I'm going ahead of myself. where do you see the entertainment industry going, since you are this forerunner and you are this person who does these predictions for yourself and you transition into these positions? Where do you see the entertainment industry going now that we are home for 2 years maybe?
Kim, I honestly don't have an answer to that question. If I did, it is a multi-million-dollar answer. I mean, I think a lot of things are going to be virtual for a while. I'm hoping that both the pandemic and this whole Hollywood reckoning that we see happening, there's still fallout from Me Too happening. There's still the racial reckoning. And then people are just kind of sounding off about people behaving badly on these jobs. Like if you pay attention to pop culture headlines, you see there's this whole thing going on with the producers of the Ellen DeGeneres show. And
which I want to talk about.
Yeah, so as some of these networks and some of these shows and production companies and studios and stuff begin to continue to change house, clean house, and change up these people who have been kind of controlling every aspect of the business for a long time, I'm hoping that folks like myself and like you and I could sit here and name you 10 amazing talent that are just looking for a great opportunity, that have been ready for a big break. I'm hoping that the business really is open to more inclusive and diverse voices and is in addition to inclusive and diverse stories. So I'm really hoping that what feels different right now in this business, this moment of racial reckoning, this moment of Hollywood atonement, that it really benefits all of us, because we've seen protests and we've seen movements and things before. This one just feels different, and I hope that it stays different.
Yeah, me too, John. I think this whole Kaepernick situation came full circle for him. I think that it's a great thing. Unfortunately, so many people turned their backs on him from, sporting companies. He lost contracts. He lost his job, and now he's a hero. And I'm hoping that, this synergy that we are experiencing now will continue. I think that many people don't really recognize, how impacted Hollywood and entertainment has been by this whole racial injustice movement. We have been dealing with racial injustice in our field forever. I mean, even me being in the union, it's very difficult. There are very few African Americans in the makeup union. I know that there are very few African Americans in a lot of major positions in entertainment.
Hey Kim, I'm really curious because having sat in lots of makeup chairs while doing TV shows, that's one of the things I've heard a lot of makeup artists, a lot of groomers talk about, which was getting into the union. I'd love to hear how you were able to get into the union.
Well, I was vetted into the union by Angela Bassett, so that made things a little less stressful for me, but it was tough even still, because we had to prove that I really had a relationship with her. Like I had to prove on credits, I had to prove on invoices, I had to prove literally, my credentials, in more than just putting it on paper, but that I had to come up with receipts, John, from 12 years ago when I first met Angela. They wanted to see receipts. They wanted to see that I really, even though her management team, who she's had that long, said, yes, Kim has worked for us this long and we have been writing checks. They wanted stubs. So they had to produce proof that I had actually worked with her for the last 12 years before they said yes. And so it was, and I'm actually vacillating between two unions, the East Coast and the West Coast, because I work on her show in LA for 911, and it was very difficult to get into. And I don't know that it was a racial thing. I can't say that for sure, but I do know that it was very difficult, very, very difficult. And I know that persistence and just being good at what you do has a lot to do with the success in my arena. Just being persistent and just not giving up. I mean, just never allowing the no to be, set in stone, but just to try again, just keep trying. And so for you, what do you see yourself, John? And well, let me rephrase that. What are some of the hurdles that you've experienced since you have been, since you've transitioned from writing a column to commentating?
For me in the TV space, Kim, the biggest hurdle has been opportunity. So there, I've had 3 network holding deals for two shows that didn't go, one show that I did not want. I've actually had 4 network deals when I think about it. Because one I mentioned to you earlier was the situation for the show that they ended up giving to somebody else. And so a lot of times what will happen is that these studios or these companies will love you for your talent, but then because you're a fresh face or somebody who hasn't had a proven track record in the space in which they're working, they recycle these same faces. And so for me as a Black man who has had multiple network deals for shows and things like that, you ultimately end up losing out to the same 5 people. So like I see like Anthony Anderson and Kevin Hart and Steve Harvey and Nick Cannon and Terry Crews and like 1 or 2 others get every job that for a Black man that's out here. Michael Strahan. I jokingly told Michael Strahan when I was on the set of Good Morning America, I said, I hope you really get tired one day of working because I sure would like to get a job. They bring me in for a Michael Strahan type and then they hire Michael Strahan. And he laughed and was like, you know what, man, I had never thought about it like that. But, Hollywood, I want them to get to a place where they see the value in the Black fresh face. No one knew who Ryan Seacrest was when he was a local radio host in LA. And then they cast him to be the co-host of American Idol. And that was the launching pad for every other amazing thing that happened in his career. But we don't see a lot of examples of the Black Ryan Seacrest. We don't see the Black Regis Philbin or the Black Tom Bergeron. And so, unless you've come out of sports or on a sitcom, Oscar winner, or used to be in a boy band or done something else that was exceptional, Hollywood likes to recycle a handful of Black talent over and over again. So that's been my greatest obstacle. I'm really blessed that I've been able to also work in cable news, and I've been doing a lot of things with ABC News Live recently and things like that, where I can make a living based off my opinion. That's truly a blessing. And so while I'm grateful for the news work and I'm grateful for the opinion work and I'm grateful for the influencer work, my ultimate goal is to do traditional hosting. And I'm hoping that this whole time and that we're living through right now will be the thing that helps us overcome the challenges and obstacle of not being able to land one of those opportunities.
Well, I love that words you use it with atonement. I am hoping that, those producers are sitting back and watching. I think that the lifestyles that these celebrities have painted on TikTok and Twitter have definitely spoke volumes about who they really and truly are in these last 5 months. And so I'm hoping that they see the stability in who you are and the consistency.
That sounds like a dig at Terry Crews, Kim. Hey, can I tell you this, Kim? Terry Crews is probably one of the nicest guys I've ever met. I think when he used to be on a show called Battle Dome. And I did one of his very first interviews when he was transitioning as an actor. A friend of mine was his publicist at the time, and I interviewed him for this syndicated column that I had. And every time I see him, whether he remembers my name and he always speaks, he's very, very nice. His wife is very nice. But despite the fact that I like him and he's such a nice guy, I really wish he would shut the hell up. I don't know what is happening here. Like one of my friends was like, maybe it's CTE. He did play football. I don't know if he bumped his head. I just don't know what's going on with him. But he at some point in his life, he's going to write a book called How to Ruin a Career in a Pandemic.
I think that book could be coined by many that you have not named because I have seen so many people just literally, if they didn't ruin their reputation, they just ruined my whole respect level for them because I just can't believe some of the things that I am seeing. And I don't know if they're just vying for attention or I don't know what it is, but it really helps me to see that it's probably better for you not to get on at all. I'd rather not see you at all than to see you make a fool of yourself. And I've seen so many celebrities just get on TikTok. TikTok has been the death of some of them for me. It's just been really rough. And I'm not going to make mention of them because
you might have to do that face. That's it. They might call and say, Kim, come fix me up, Kim.
Hopefully they have an opportunity for me to come and fix their face at some point after these TikTok videos because they've been quite hilarious. But yeah, I think that this whole atonement piece with like I said with Hollywood will give again those who are in charge of these shows and making these decisions an opportunity to really see true talent and those who really have a heart for this and not just kind of you know, I'm here, and like you said, I was in the boy band, and we had 2 hits, and I don't know how to read a teleprompter, you know.
And people don't realize teleprompter reading has ruined many careers. Listen, and I'll say this: I'd say to him, I love Al Sharpton, and he's one of the most prolific preachers. I mean, he was great doing George Floyd's funerals. I've sat in many audiences and heard him speak. Me and the Rev, when I run into him into airports and at events, we have a good moment. But one of the funniest things for me is to sit and watch him struggle with that teleprompter at MSNBC. Because I don't care how well you talk, and I don't care how good you read. Reading teleprompter is completely different than being able to read in general. So I'm telling you, if you ever seen somebody that you like on TV struggle, coming up is that them words are moving down that thing. It has tripped the best of them up.
You can tell that they haven't read it or anything, and I don't know and you have to have a synergy with the person who's running the teleprompter.
Yeah,
because if they're not rolling it at the pace that you're reading.
Oh, some of them teleprompters be for speed readers. Some things be. I had an audition once for a casting director who she and I get along really good now. We laugh about it, but I did an audition for her, and she had me reading teleprompter off an iPad Mini. That in itself should be against the law.
Did you see my face?
Yeah, so it was a little iPad Mini, and then the speed. I said, "Ma'am, you gonna have to slow this down. Like, am I reading the news or am I doing an auction?" It was like 5. Nobody talk like that.
Nobody does. Nobody. There's no pause or break. There's
nothing. Can't even catch my breath.
Give me a chance to get myself together. I love it, John. Listen, I want to cackle a little bit with you because I think that this is the perfect time to do so. You've given us so much insight on mental health, Black Lives Matter. If you are just joining us, you guys, I am talking with John Murray, who is just so many wonderful things. You got to go back and watch the replay. I could rattle off his resume literally. It would take me the next 10 minutes to do so. He has just been a phenomenal voice in the entertainment community, and I just want to just talk a little bit with him about who he is as a person. I mean, I know we've talked about your thoughts and your career, but I want to talk about John right now, and I want to talk about what have you been home cooking, John? Because normally I'm cooking, right?
Yeah.
I try to invite you over for dinner and try to give you some of my good old soul food. And I've been working out, so I haven't really been eating that kind of stuff. So I want to know, since you've been walking and you've been working out, what have you been cooking?
Well, so I'm quarantined with my mom, and she's getting the benefits of that. Most people don't know this, but if I wouldn't have went into the entertainment industry, I would have went to culinary school.
Wow.
Growing up, my Aunt Ann, which was my aunt that I was like, I loved all my aunts, but she was the one I was the closest to. Her and my Aunt Gladys babysat me, but my Aunt Ann, that was like my road dog. So she taught me how to cook. So I'd be at her house making everything from pineapple upside down cakes to having to clean chitlins and pig feet. And she passed a couple years ago, and I actually stood at her funeral and said, now that I think about having to clean them chitlins and pig feet, that may have been child abuse. But that's where I started my passion for cooking and stuff. And so I love the Food Network. I'm friends with some celebrity chefs like Carla Hall and Rock Harper and David Rose and so many chefs that are doing great food. And so one of the things I've been able to do during this time is cook a lot. So tonight I actually did some salmon in the cast iron skillet. I did some green beans, and I hadn't quite finished my salad before we went on live tonight. But this was
yummy
arugula endive.
I was gonna say, what's that red stuff in there, John? What's that?
That's red endive. Endive is like that lettuce when you go to them shishi poo events. They have like crab salad on this.
They do.
So I saw an Ina.
Shishi fufu events have we been together doing a bit of kikiing?
Yeah, listen. And so it has some pickled red onions that I pickled myself yesterday, some homegrown tomatoes and some mushrooms. And I made the salad dressing myself. It was like an orange vinaigrette. It was all from an Ina Garner recipe. So like my mother, she's been on the phone with her best friend talking about, girl, he cooking them TV worthy dinners. He think he a TV chef. And now her best friend talk about, you ever thought about, you know what, being a chef could be your calling. And I was like, I'm not going to culinary school. That'd be
you might not have to, John, because we just talked about that. You might not need to go to culinary school. They may hire you just to come on their Food Network and
listen,
entertain us.
I could be a good eater. Like there's a show right now that I'm binge watching on Netflix called Crazy Delicious. Carla Hall is actually a judge on the show. I would love to be a host. Like the host of the show is just a comedian. Her name is Jade Nelson, and they shot the show in London. Food Network never really hires traditional hosts, but I'm a host who can talk food, and I love to eat. So holla at me, Food Network.
Hopefully they're watching. I didn't tag them, but I'm getting ready to go back and tag them because they can definitely watch this. I'm excited to actually taste some of this good food in the next 2 years whenever we come out of pandemic. But listen,
we'll cook together next summer, summer 21.
Summer 21 is me and you. But listen, I have a quick game that I play. I call it This and That. And
okay.
I want you to,
I love these type of games.
Yeah, just answer questions really quickly. First thing comes to mind: text message or call?
Call me.
House party or
hey, Kim, can I elaborate? Like text message is easy, and I love a text message. It makes networking so much easier. But in this time in particular, during the pandemic, like I like even if I don't call a person on their birthday, I might send them a voice message. You know, so we're socially distant, or at least physically distant during this time. So in this season, call me.
Call me. Okay. House party or lounge party?
House party.
Summer or winter?
I'm summer all day long. Don't give me no cold weather. Don't give me no snow. I got a fur coat. Don't want to wear it.
I know that's right. Rap or house music?
I'm gonna have to go hip hop. I mean, I love house music, but you know, I'm a late '80s, '90s kid, so you know.
Football or wrestling?
Oh, okay. Listen, pro wrestling all day long. You know, I love my pro wrestling now.
I know that. I just wanted the reader or the viewers to know what you love. Okay, Gucci or LV?
Oh, I'm Gucci. Sorry to the people. Listen, Gucci apologized. They did it right. They walked it back. They fixed it. And, you know, I'm not a Louis Vuitton guy. I'm more of an MCM than a Louis Vuitton guy too.
Okay. Essence or BET Awards?
Oh, Essence all day long. That's grown and sexy. That's
our moneymaker.
It's a moneymaker. And listen, it costs a lot of money to go to New Orleans on that weekend. So, you know, while you get some local riffraff, you don't get a lot of out-of-town riffraff because the out-of-town riffraff can't afford to come to New Orleans on that weekend. But BET Awards weekend, that experience, it's a different demographic.
Very much so. Okay, LA or New York?
LA all day long. I'd move to LA in a New York minute.
Hello? Okay, books or movies?
Movies. Particularly documentaries, because I love a good documentary.
Me too. Chocolate or vanilla?
Chocolate.
Cars or motorcycles?
Cars. Motorcycles kill people.
You telling your age, John?
I'm telling the truth.
Comedy or horror films?
Oh, listen. One of the worst experiences in my life would be if you dragged me into a horror film. Make me laugh. Don't scare me, because I'm gonna have nightmares.
Surf or turf?
Oh, surf. Like listen, I've been eating seafood salad like every other weekend. You know, I love shrimp and crab, and I got some cod I'm gonna make this week. I had salmon tonight. Give me my surf.
All right. Paper or plastic?
Oh, well, you know, one of my favorite grocery stores is Trader Joe's, and I love their paper bags. So give me paper. But in LA, though, they have the Target has. It's so funny the things you remember. The Targets in LA have these very thick recycled plastic bags that you have to pay 10 cents for. They're really good quality bags. So if I'm in LA, you can give me plastic, but the rest of the time, give me paper.
Give me paper. Okay,
these are great questions, Kim. I can do this with you all night.
I love this. Okay, boats or planes?
Boats of. Well, okay. That, you know, this is tougher than I thought. So, you know, regularly when we're not in a pandemic, I live on an airplane. But I love a cruise. So I'm gonna say a boat because I like being on the water.
Okay. Reading or writing?
I would say reading because we type so much now. My handwriting is god awful.
Mine too. I write like a doctor. I guess I am a doctor, but I write like a medical
You a face doctor. Come on here. She works with precision.
I love it. Okay, you like to sing or dance?
That bad run I just did with that. I'll dance.
Dance. Okay, we're running out of time. You know this StreamYard thing will take us out of here. Okay. Candles or room spray?
Oh, I'm a candle guy.
Bold or subtle?
It depends on what we're talking about, Kim.
Right.
I'll go bold though. Let's go bold.
Okay, and then finally, black or white?
Black. Blackety black. Black Lives Matter. Black Jesus. Black chocolate ice cream. Your mama black, your dad. I want my gospel music black. I don't like all that CCM stuff. Blackety, blackety.
Blackety, blackety,
The
blackety,
blacker the berry, the
blackety,
sweeter the
black.
juice. Once you go black, you never go back. And black don't crack, but you better still use moisturizer, drink water, and get some sleep. All of that black.
I love it. What a great way to end the show with Black Power. Black is king. And my
Black
friend
is
John Murray,
king.
I love you so much, John Murray. Thank you so
My
much.
president was black. Kim Lee is black. Kim, how many times people hear your name and think you Asian?
Listen, for all the times they thought I was Asian, blacker than black.
Blackety, blackety, black.
Good night, everybody. Thank you for watching. We love you. Thanks, John Murray.
Love you, my friend. Congratulations on this. This was great.